So I just want to share 3 things that I did to change the whole game for me and go from being stressed out and working all hours of the day, every day, and being exhausted physically, mentally, and emotionally, and potentially slowing my business's growth, to having a great team and knowing that I can get anything done that is within the scope of my business and continue to achieve my goals for my company, as well as personal growth, with confidence, because I know that I have the right team. So I'm out taking a nice walk with my dog. I usually do this on the weekends, either Sunday or Saturday, whatever morning I have the most time. It's a little noisy here. We got the highway in the background. You can't see because of all the trees, but there's a highway going by. But I just wanted to make this video for you guys, just touch base. It's super busy. It's fall, aeration, still mowing lawns, potentially pruning shrubs, maybe even putting down some mulch, different types of landscape enhancements, whatever you guys got going on. For me personally, in my lawn care business, I'm doing aerating and seeding, still mowing lawns. We have over 60 weekly clients. We're not doing any more shrub trimming because I did all that already in the middle of summer, like July, August. We'll do that again over the winter, do some winter pruning like crepe myrtles, things like that. Limbing up trees, just kind of getting cleaned up over the winter and then getting ready for spring growth. I also do fertilization and weed control, so we finished with all the weeds. Now we're gearing up for fertilizing. Here in Central Virginia, we fertilize up to 3 times in the fall. That's the growing season. That's where we really want to establish a strong root system for our tall fescue, our mainly tall fescue lawns. We also got leaf season coming up too, right? Oh man, like no cars for a minute. It got quiet all of a sudden. But I just really want to touch base with you guys. It might be, because we're going into the winter, it might be a little kind of off timing for things that you can take action now. But I want to reassure you that you can take some action of what I'm saying now and definitely start planning to take more action next year. But I finally have a team of great employees, and I know that's not permanent. Things are going to constantly change. People are going to come and go. That's just how life is, right? I've worked in retail management over 15 plus years, so I know how it goes. I know how hard it is to find and keep good employees. But I've always been good at leading people. I've always been a people person. I've always been good at training, following up, and holding people accountable has not been one of my strengths, but it's been comparable enough for me to be able to stay on top of any real issues and keep a strong team. But those of you that have been following along for a while, my story anyway, you'll know that I've had quite a few struggles over the last couple of years with my business, trying to grow and staff, find the right people, keep the right people, and so on, and not be stressed out trying to do all the work myself. It really hinders growth when you're stuck being the owner operator, still doing everything yourself. There comes a time when you really need some help so that you continue to grow. It gives you confidence to take on more work, as well as then getting the work done after you take on new work, more clients, more jobs, or whatever. When you're doing more design build and landscape maintenance, it's a little bit different when you have staffing issues, because you can kind of hold off a little bit, push some projects back. I mean, it might upset people, you might lose some work, but as opposed to lawn maintenance, when you have a certain amount of weekly lawns to take care of, when it requires 2 people to do it and then you go down to just yourself, it becomes extremely stressful, and it takes your confidence away, and you're just like, man, I'm afraid to take on too much work because then I'll be stuck past the point of no return. And I've been there and done that for a couple of years now, and I've just had to struggle my way through it. I did a lot of research, did a lot of trial and error, did a lot of asking peers and mentors locally and through social media and so on. A lot of you guys offered me a lot of different tips and tricks, different things that worked for you or others that you know. So I just want to share 3 things that I did to change the whole game for me and go from being stressed out and working all hours of the day, every day, and being exhausted physically, mentally, and emotionally, and potentially slowing my business's growth, to having a great team and knowing that I can get anything done that is within the scope of my business and continue to achieve my goals for my company, as well as personal growth, with confidence, because I know that I have the right team. I've talked about a lot of this in the past in various different videos and so on, but one of the biggest things that I had to stay disciplined with, that I learned in my retail management days, is never stop hiring. Always be on the lookout for good people, because you can always make room for good people. So number 1, I always made sure that I kept updating my job application for my lawn care business. I've used Indeed for years now. I've had great success with it, so I continue to use it. I just love the ease of use. It's very user-friendly. It's great for employees. It's great for employers. It keeps everything organized, and I just use everything there. I try not to have all these different things, and people are always like, when they apply, they're like, hey, you can call me, here's my number, you can call me anytime, or just text me, or whatever. People are always trying to find easier ways, I get it, to communicate with you. Because, they obviously want the job, and they want to make sure they don't miss any communication, and I get that. And I appreciate that. But for me, I don't want to have all these different ways to contact people constantly for different people. Like, sometimes I've got 30 different applicants at one time on any given month, and I don't want to have like 30 different ways of getting a hold of people. That's why I just tell them, hey, I appreciate that, but we need to stick with Indeed. I like to streamline everything through Indeed until you're hired. Then it can be more obviously of a personal connection with, my email, texting, phone calls, stuff like that. We'll change it up. But for me, mainly, I want to streamline the communication. So I'm doing everything through Indeed, messaging you through Indeed. Obviously, the application itself is through Indeed, and there's screening questions through Indeed. All the different stuff is all through Indeed. So I've been using that for a while. So I update my application every month. I do it for free. Every time you put a job application out for Indeed, you have, I think it's up to like 30 days for free before Indeed will pause your application, and you either have to pay to sponsor it, or you can just put a new application out. And they make it super easy to duplicate your job application. You can update it. I usually change some words here and there, that, like the title and stuff, and I'll just change it up, try and get different types of people. 1 month it'll be experience required, minimum 2 years, like 2 years minimum experience required, or another month it'll be 2 years experience preferred but not required. So I'll just change different things, part-time, full-time, crew leader, crew member, and I'll just try and get different types of people, see if I can get different types of people, because different types of people apply with those different types of applicants. I change the pay rate, I raise it, lower it, different pay ranges, all this stuff, just to switch it up and try to have different pool of applicants. And it's really worked. I mean, I've gotten a lot of applicants every month. I get a lot of people applying, but they're not always the people that meet my requirements, people that I want. And then I'll schedule interviews for people that I do want. A lot of times people don't show up for an interview, or I never hear back for any confirmation of that interview. And then from that, the people that actually do show up for an interview, sometimes, like they show up late. That's a bad sign right off the bat. Or they show up on time, but or early, but they're just not a good fit, right? It's tough to find manual labor. It's tough to find manual laborers. And for me, I'm not just looking for someone that can do manual labor. I'm looking for people that are going to help represent my company in the best way. They're going to be on my client's property week after week, day after day, and I want them to have that professionalism, that professional look. I want them to be able to think for themselves, think outside the box. I know a lot of you might think that it's asking for a lot, but if you keep at it, you pay well, you have a professional company, you provide professional uniforms, shirts, all of this stuff, good working equipment. One of the best tips, the best compliments that I've gotten from one of my new employees, that's one of my best employees, part of this great team that I have, when I asked him during his 30-day evaluation at the end, after I told him, you know, my evaluation on him, I asked him for his evaluation on me and my company. And one of the things he said was he really appreciates how efficient everything is and how clean and organized everything is, and that all of the equipment is in working order. He said all of the companies that he's worked for in the past, because he's one of my most experienced guys during that whole, like I said, changing it up with experience required, increasing the pay rate, all that kind of stuff. I was able to find him, who's got years and years of experience. He's a 53-year-old grown man, and he runs circles around these young kids that I've had and still have some, because of his experience. He knows how to efficiently trim and edge and blow and mow. He knows how to use every type of equipment, Toro grandstands to trimmers and blowers and all that stuff. So he just has it all down pat. So he's had a lot of experience, and he said all of his years and all the companies he's worked for, there's nothing worse than having bad, broken equipment, and you're out there in 100 degrees yanking on trimmers, trying to get them to work, and the boss man doesn't even care. He's not even on the crew, or doesn't even follow up with the crew. The other guys that are running the crew could care less. They're just like, whatever. They just want to be on the mower. They're stopping for breaks constantly. He just wants to get the job done and go home, get paid, all that stuff. So it's like a totally different environment that I create that he appreciates. So that's my biggest tip. For number one tip is always have some, whether you use Indeed or Craigslist or Facebook or your website or all the above, whatever it is, just keep refreshing that every month. I can do it for free on Indeed. I have Pay to sponsor, boost applications, and nothing has really boost jobs. Nothing has really helped in that sense. I've gotten the best results just every month, getting ready, getting prepared for when they pause the job to go ahead and duplicate the job, switch it up a little bit, like I said, put it out, and then keep it fresh every month. Even if you don't have the hours, or you already have some people, and you've already hired these people, and you think, okay, I can't afford any more, you always want to have that application out there, because you never know when you might find a diamond in the rough. Like, if I didn't still do this process, I wouldn't have found this gentleman that I just spoke of that has all this experience and has really brought a new level of dependability and professionalism and efficiency and just overall good attitude to the team, to my company, to really help take us to the next level. And I know that's easier said than done now, this time of year, when you're going into the downtime of the year, slower times, but this is where I had to get creative a couple years ago and think about what can I do over the winter, over the fall, so that I can at least keep giving my guy or guys a couple of days a week. And I just scheduled all of the work for them. I didn't do anything by myself that time of year. And that freed me up for a lot of other things, to focus on this, making videos for you guys, spending time with my family, other social media things, preparing for the next year's GIE Plus Expo, all that kind of stuff, all the LCR media things that I'm always working on and coming up with, and just hanging out with people, collaborating with local guys, maybe doing some traveling for Get to Know the Pro and other things that I do, and just hanging out with you guys and collaborating with other peers and mentors on YouTube and in the industry. That frees me up to do that when I just schedule everything for 1 or 2 days for my guy or guys to do with me. And I'm very upfront and clear with everyone, and let them know that that's how it is when I'm during the interview process, so that they know what they're getting into. And most guys are used to that. If they've been in this industry before, or they just assume that that's how it goes. You're obviously not cutting grass in the winter, so, and sometimes they even ask, like, you know, what happens in the winter? Do you let us go? Do you know, obviously things slow down? Do we get less hours? Whatever. So I just explain all that stuff to them, and I tell them, yes, you know, I try not to let anyone go, but the hours do reduce. You know, if it doesn't snow, there's really not a whole lot of work in Central Virginia. But we do have leaves to clean up, we do have pruning to do, and you know, there's miscellaneous odd jobs that come up that the more clients you have, when you have 60 plus weekly maintenance clients, more work seems to appear, because an odd job here, an odd job there, you multiply that by 60 something people, potentially can give you a decent amount of side work to work on, to do over the winter in the slow season. So I mean, I really start focusing on leaf removal and cleanups more than I would normally do by myself, and kind of changed my setup a little bit. Got a bagger system for my, you know, my mower, got another backpack blower, you know, just really try to focus on those services so I can keep my employees on payroll and giving them hours. So the second thing is hire more than you need. I know this might sound counterintuitive or whatever, but I mean, like, if you only need and can only afford one employee, hire 2 employees, because you never know who's going to work out until they're actually working. I know some guys do like a working interview type thing, where when they find someone, you know, an application or someone that they're thinking of hiring, they might call them, give them like a little pre-screening over the phone, ask them some important questions, you know, whatever is important to them, like how much is, you know, how much pay are you desiring and your availability, things like that. That would kind of be a deal breaker if someone responds in a way that's just not going to be conducive for your company. You know, like they ask for way more than you can afford, and you know, they're not willing to budge on that, and maybe they're only available certain days and not other days that you really need or whatever, and they're not willing to budge, you know, so you would just cancel that out right away. But if those questions, you know, are good to go, you know, your first actual real interview or your only interview may just be like, hey, all right, you know, I'm gonna pay you to work with us for a couple of hours or for the full day or whatever, you know, this is where we're going to meet up at this time and so on, and basically they're like a temporary employee for you for that day or for a few hours, and you see what they're capable of doing, and that's kind of like their working interview, instead of having a more sit down formal interview, which I do the sit down formal interview thing versus calling and versus having a working interview. That's just what I'm more comfortable with. I can really get a good read on people when I actually meet them in person and sit down with them. So like I would hate to have had a working interview and have to pay someone for me to immediately realize that they're not a good fit, you know, after the first 5-10 minutes or whatever. Where a sit down interview, I can do that and have saved money and time and all that. Just have a 15-20 minute interview. I'm like, all right, this person's not going to work out, and so on. But there's just different things for different people. So, but my main point is to just make sure that you hire more than what you need, just because when they do show up for work, you might realize that they're not a good fit, or maybe just over a short time, you know, the first couple of days or week, it's too much for them and they quit. You know, they might not show up, or they might tell you, hey, this is too much for me. It happens all the time. It's happened to me once. I've heard it happen to multiple people on a regular basis. I try to set people up for success as best as possible. During the interview process, I tell them what they're going to be doing, how hot it's going to be, and you know, rain, all the different conditions, potentially working on the weekend if we have to get caught up. Like, I try to prepare them for everything so that they're not surprised and they know what they're getting into. But still, things are going to come up, and it just is what it is. So you want to make sure that you didn't spend all this time hiring one person and then they just don't work out. Now that you're back to the drawing board. So if you hire 2 people and you only need 1, whoever is the best person, you know, if one of them doesn't work out and they kind of just quit on you, then you still have the other person. Hopefully they're a good fit. Or number 3, make sure that you let the person go that isn't the best fit. Say you hire 2 people, you only need 1. You need to make sure that you quickly identify within the first 30 days is what I say. That's what I do in my company. I give a 30-day evaluation to everyone, unless it's super awful that, you know, they don't even make it to the 30 days. I'm like, man, I can't deal another day with this person. They're always late, they're calling out, whatever. You're just gonna have to let them go. But you know, if they show up, they do the job, you know, but they're just not necessarily the best or whatever, you know, I give them the full 30 days. I tell them in advance that that's what it is. We do a 30-day evaluation, see if you're going to be a good fit and so on, and then we move on. And we potentially have rate increases, you know, throughout the year when we have these evaluations if you're doing a phenomenal job and you're an asset to the team. And it just helps get people motivated and it gives them clear expectations of what may be happening. You know, yes, hopefully it'll make people work harder, but at the end of the day, within 30 days, if someone is not a good fit, you're gonna know it. They can't fake it for 30 days. They can fake it in the interview, they can talk a good talk and then not walk a good walk, but they can talk a good talk and try and walk the walk for a day or two or a week or even two. But when you get to 30 days, when you get to a month, you really, and there's all different types of services that you potentially are offering that this person is going to help you with. You get a lot of different looks and a lot of different feels for this person, as well as they do for the job. So they might self-select and quit, you know, on their own or whatever, or you have to tell them, hey, it's not a good fit. But at the end of the 30 days, if you hire 2 people, at the end of 30 days, you have to pick who's the best fit. If you can only afford one, maybe you grow a lot in those 30 days. If they're both a good fit, you can keep both of them. But either way, make sure you do what's best for your business. Hire more than what you need and let them know in advance that there's a potential that in 30 days you have to make some tough choices, and you know they'll either stay with your business or you'll have to move on with someone else so that they know what to prepare for. Tell them it's a temporary position and so on. Just like when you're working in retail and people are, you know, hired for the holidays, they know that it's temporary. They could stay after the holidays if they do a good enough job and there's enough hours and room for them, but there's a potential that they won't. So just make sure you're clear with everyone, and that's what's going to help you grow your business, find and keep the best people. So there's a lot of good stuff that I talked about here, those 3 main points, and kind of a lot of little like mini tangent, you know, bonus material there. Hopefully you got something out of this that will help you right now as well as plan for the future and give you some action steps. So let me know your comments below if you've had any successes, you know, any ups and downs with your hiring process, your staffing, your employees, what works, what doesn't work. Share that down below in the comments so it could potentially help me as well as others that are watching the video. It's all about sharing, giving back. I appreciate you guys watching. If this is your first time checking out one of my videos, thank you for checking it out and clicking on the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and click the notification bell so that you know when more videos are being uploaded. I appreciate it, and like I always say, don't forget to keep trying new things and be a rookie for life. Peace. Just wanted to give a shout out to Service Autopilot. I have been using them as a software, as a CRM for all of my invoicing, estimating, emailing, and so much more. Super comprehensive software system for my business. I've been using it for over a year. It's been a game changer for me. I've used several other softwares prior to Service Autopilot, and I have to say that so far this is the most comprehensive that I've used. It's a great program. Go ahead and check the link out in the description. If you don't know anything about Service Autopilot or you want to learn more about it, go ahead and click on that link and check it out. It'll help support this channel as well as help grow your business.